Benji Aflalo.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing the podcast.
Yeah, did we start?
We're starting.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So yeah, we met, I think officially met at my show,
Yes.
the Nightcap show during the pandemic.
Yes.
Which I think Carolyn booked you on.
Yes.
Yeah, and you were funny, but I always
Thank you.
knew of you, but just never had met. And I'd seen you at the Comedy Store a bunch and just different clubs, but we just never crossed paths.
And we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though we're in part of this group of comedians that almost look alike. There's probably like me,
Oh, yeah.
you, Fahim, Morgan J. I just put out a flyer for a show I did, and it looks like 4 guys who look the same plus
right.
Liza Traeger, and I'm like, all right.
What's your background again?
I'm half Moroccan, half
right.
English.
Oh, okay, and that's
So-
exactly what I am.
Are you really?
Yeah, I'm half Moroccan.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah.
What part of Morocco is your dad from?
He was born in Casablanca, but I think when he was living there, I think he was in Tangier.
Okay, my dad's from Marrakesh.
Oh, okay, great.
Wild.
Yeah, there you go. And your mom's a white lady.
Yeah, from
Huh.
Canada. So
Okay,
like an
sweet.
English-Brit mix.
Similar with me.
Yeah.
Both Jews, so my mom's a more like light-skinned Jew
Okay.
than my dad's the Moroccan Jew.
Got it.
Yeah.
And have you been?
We once did a Mediterranean cruise where we went to Morocco just for the day. But I'm like, I don't know, I'm kind of just like scared to just like go to like, I'd say like North Africa and a lot of the Middle East. I'm just like scared.
Yeah,
go.
just because of life?
I think, and I'm not even saying it's valid. Like I
Yeah.
totally know it's totally chill to go to Morocco. I'm just
Right.
like a baby. And I also feel like in Morocco, like my name is like Jewy McJewstein. And I'm just like scared of just like anti-Semitism.
Like being profiled?
Yeah.
Your name doesn't sound particularly...
I think there it does.
Not in America. It seems pretty...
Oh yeah, here it just sounds ethnic.
yeah, it sounds
But
like
like in Morocco, they're like, no,
Oh, they
I know
know?
what that is.
Yeah, because here I feel like it's... I would have even said like you're Latino or something.
Right, yeah. A lot of people think I'm ethnically ambiguous, as you could be too.
Right,
Yeah.
and I usually... Which basically means in LA, they probably both think we're Persian.
Right, a lot of people will think that, yeah.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah.
just because they can't put their finger on what you are, so they just go, Persians, there's tons of them here.
Yeah, we
It's
see a
like-
lot of those guys out here. That sounds right. And
Yeah. Well, there's Persian cats, so I think people...
and
Persian
rugs. Yeah.
So I think they associate
And
the
Prince
cat,
of-
the rug, the people... That's
Prince
not-
of Persia, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is interesting
And
casting.
a video game. I think there was a Prince
Yeah,
of
where you
Persia
run
video
and...
game.
I used to play that game.
Yeah, I did too.
Where you
I
run
liked
and
it.
jump.
Yeah, I liked it.
It was so frustrating. When you would
Yeah.
hang on the cliff.
Yeah, it was.
And then you're like, you press like space bar or something and you fall and like your whole
Yeah.
day is shot.
Yeah.
You played a lot of games growing up?
You know, I'd say a normal amount. Like a normal amount. I really like baseball games. I'd say until I finished college, I was always up to date with whatever baseball video game was coming out. I really liked those.
So there was Nintendo Baseball,
Yeah. I think it was, yeah.
which was like, there was like a fat guy, a skinny guy,
Yeah.
and like a
vaguely
medium.
remember.
All the Nintendo sports games took the like, there's a fat guy, skinny guy,
Right.
and medium guy
Yeah.
cast. And then you
Yeah,
got
there's
to,
just
like,
a few, and they're
like in
different colors
hockey.
with different hair colors. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there was like, I think Tecmo Baseball. Tecmo was...
It was Tecmo Football. I don't
Oh,
know.
Tecmo Football.
Yeah.
What was the big Nintendo Baseball one? Was it...
For me, I don't remember. I didn't start remembering until Tommy Lasorda Baseball.
Oh, yeah, Tommy Lasorda,
Which
yeah.
was Sega, though, I believe. Wasn't it Sega?
Yeah,
Or was
yeah,
I
it
think
was Sega. When Sega kind of dominated sports
Yeah,
games.
I'd say Tommy Lasorda for me dominated Sega, and then once it went on to PlayStation, I can't really quite remember. I'd have to go like on a Wikipedia wormhole to figure out which ones I was into at different times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Josh Potter got me into the MLB baseball, the one that's on PlayStation.
Oh, the new one?
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I'm not good at new video games. When COVID started, I bought like a brand new Xbox or whatever the thing to buy is, and I got like Red Dead and a baseball game, and I was just like, I can't do this anymore.
It's a lot.
I can't do it.
I didn't really get into the baseball game. I
Yeah.
wanted to. I would watch his Twitch streams, which were super fun, and he's like having a great time.
Yeah.
But I just don't. I can't invest that time into
Can't
it.
do it either.
Yeah.
I don't care. And in college, I was still doing video games, but even then, I would like get a system. I'd get a few games. I'd get really obsessed with it. I went to school in New York, so it would often be like around wintertime when you're stuck in your little apartment, and I'd get obsessed for like a few months, and then I'd like donate it to a children's hospital, and it'd be like, get out of my life.
Yeah.
So I always sort of felt, not always, but as I got older, I sort of viewed video games as like a stigma. But then I tried, because of COVID, I was like stuck here. But yeah, I couldn't get into it.
I've definitely done that. There was one point when I had what's the Nintendo? Was it not 360, N64?
Oh yeah,
where I would
Ken
be
Griffey
like,
Jr. baseball.
got rid of that. I'm like,
Oh,
hey,
really?
I just gave it to a friend, and
Yeah.
then the PS4 I had, and then I was like, I got to get rid of this, and I
Right.
like sold it back to Amazon. Amazon just buys things from people at this point, and then just to be like done with it.
Yeah,
It does take up a part of your life, and now I bought a PS5 because I like won a little lottery for it, and then I regret it.
Right. Yeah, I lived in college, like literally across the street from a Ronald McDonald house. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
It's like a children's cancer. It's basically like children stay there when they're going through cancer. It's like a place for pediatric cancer kids to stay.
Right.
And so every time I would give up on a video game system, I would bring it there, and it'd be really funny because I'd show up to my friends, and they'd come to my little college apartment, and they'd be like, "Where's your fucking Xbox?" I'm like, "Gave it to the Ronald McDonald house," and they're like, "You idiot! How could you?" I'm like, "There's children getting like cancer removed from their body, and I'm giving them then their family something to play with, and you're like, idiot."
Yeah, their life has meaning now.
I always thought that was funny.
I always thought those ads with Ronald McDonald. Ronald McDonald, first of all, creepiest mascot of any food company ever.
Definitely.
And then he's like in the hospital with the kids, and I'm like, this is crazy.
Oh, it was like they were advertising cheeseburgers while...
Yeah.
Or is it just for the Ronald McDonald
It's just for the
house?
Ronald McDonald house, but just like
I see.
having him, I don't know, I got frozen out of the whole thing. I'm
Yeah,
like,
stick to the burger shops. We don't need you to also be the mascot for like...
I get
kids with
it's
cancer
positive,
places to
but
stay.
like, I don't know. The guy was so creepy. I guess clowns are creepy in general, but
He is. He's especially creepy.
yeah, like the big, like no one ever dresses up as Ronald McDonald for
It's
Halloween.
scary. It's scary.
If I saw Ronald McDonald show up at my front door, the scare it is.
It'd be really scary. Yeah.
So you did a movie I saw in 2014 with Esther Pazitsky.
Oh, we made a short film.
Short film. Yeah. What was that experience like?
Oh, I was a much younger man. Not much younger. I guess 8 years younger, but that feels like much younger to me now.
Yeah. Every 4 years, you become a different person. So
I feel like I've doubled in age since then. But yeah, we always wanted to make something, and then we did, and we put that short film together, and sort of just like a short story about us.
Like the last time when it was super difficult to make a short film, probably like that era, like 8 years ago.
Oh.
In terms of like you probably needed more equipment. Like it wasn't like the equipment wasn't here at that time.
You're right. That was a thing. Yeah, we produced it ourselves. We had a really awesome director named Jacob Pinger, and he helped a lot too. And there were a lot of people there helping. This other woman named Anne, and they helped us get a crew together, and we all sort of hustled and figured it out and managed to put a short film together. Yeah, it was a good learning experience for me.
Right, because you got to budget it and come up with the call sheets, the time, you're basically managing a small business.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't do all of that. There were other people there like helping. We did like put together like a tight little crew. But I learned a lot of stuff and had all sorts of responsibilities and had to figure things out. And it sort of forced you to sort of meet the requirements.
Right.
If you need a location, you got to find a fucking location. If you need people
Problem
need
solving.
lunch, you need to get lunch for exactly, problem solving and managing all the stuff.
Totally.
Yeah.
And where does that lead you today? Like, do you consider yourself a comedian first and a writer first, or what is your outlook in terms of your fit with the business today?
That's a good question. It's hard to say, as I love stand-up comedy the most, but it's not always, how do I put this? I don't always feel like stand-up comedy loves me back.
That's fair.
I've been doing it a long time. I've been doing it about 18 years.
Okay.
So I've never had like a late night spot. Obviously, I'm very grateful for everything. I'm a very grateful guy. I'm not trying to complain. But basically, there's a lot in stand-up that I haven't gotten or that I don't get, which is I'm not complaining. It's most likely 99% my fault, whatever I'm lacking there. But because it's been a long haul and I'm just constantly feel like kind of like beaten down by it, sometimes I will make it more subordinate to something like trying to get writing gigs or whatever. But it's not like I don't love stand-up comedy the most. It's just that maybe I get more love doing other things. So I have to sort of balance it out. But in that way, I'd say stand-up comedy's first, but sometimes it might take a backseat to other things. But it's only because you don't love me back, stand-up comedy. And I'm doing my best. It's been 18 years.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I don't like when you say like there's a fault. It definitely isn't like a fault in terms of ability. I would say your ability, your talent, or what you do. Because I've seen you and you're hilarious, and like you're just as funny as anyone doing it. Mm-hmm. And I remember something, and I don't know him, but I remember him saying it. Joe List said, he's like, I've been wanting a late night spot. And then someone's like, he was kind of like bummed out about it. Mm-hmm. And his friend's like, well, did you ask?
Right.
And he's like, no.
Right.
And then he like emailed somebody and then he got it.
Right. Yeah, it can be that simple, reaching out to people, just trying a little more, which is why, again, I blame myself. Like, there's always, that's what sucks about being a comic is you almost get to always blame yourself.
It's always
like,
on you.
I could have tried harder. I could do this. I could go to more spots. I could meet more people. It's sort of limitless. There's no ceiling to how hard you can try.
That's LA in general.
Yeah.
And all like I could go to more auditions. I could write more spec scripts. I could write more. It's this town just kind of lumps life on you and says deal with it, and then you're like,
yeah.
Where's the baseball game?
Yeah, or where's the line? Like, how hard am I going to be on myself? Because I think there's also the other side of it is there are people who are really good at networking and really good at grinding and know how to do it and are super sociable and charismatic when they talk to other people. They don't know all those things. And so you also have to tip your cap because, as you know, in comedy, there's people who are really good at networking and really good at getting to know people. Whatever you want to call it, if that it's its own skill set. Whatever you want to call it. It's also just like a unique skill someone has.
Right.
It's not like I don't want that skill. So I don't hate the game. I say if that's what you're good at, that's what you're good at.
Yeah, I like the people
because it works too. You get to go up more, and then you're funnier. If I went up more, I'd be funnier.
Right.
So you can't diss someone.
No.
If there's someone who hustled their way into going up 5 times a night in LA and they're hilarious, I go, yeah, you should be, and you are. Yeah.
It's kind of like the same thing behind. Like saying, oh, you're clipping and you're putting your crowd work up on TikTok. You can hate on it, but then they're also building a following, and now they can tour. And now
it works, but when it doesn't work, it's embarrassing, and you're like, look what you reduced yourself to.
Like
you're
when
just putting clips together for you know what I mean? So but everyone needs their but that's okay too. It's like someone might eventually say, we all know people. It's like they might just go, you know what, this is what I'm doing. I'm trying to put together 20-second clips for the internet. That's what I've decided my comedy is. Go screw yourself. And then they're not wrong. It's like, yeah, that could work for you.
And it has affected the brains of many people I know because now they're filming everything and they're like, okay, I need something that's like a minute to put on.
They're playing to their phone while they're in front of 100 people. There's 100 people and they're pandering to their phone.
Right.
Yeah.
And like now you have to shoot it kind of this way. In not landscape, but up and down, vertical. Yeah. And so you have like a small window.
Yeah, that too.
You're kind of more stationary. You're physically more stationary.
I've seen people like give their phone like the thing. And I'm like, this is a sold out. I know where you're performing. This is a sold out crowd. You're looking at your cell phone on the floor. Weird. That's what I noticed with podcasts. So with podcasts is everyone wants their clip for the internet on their podcast. So now I'm seeing in podcasts, people aren't really trying to have like a genuine conversation or even they're like clip thirsty while they're having the conversation.
Yeah.
So I find that their clips that they post in the clip, you can see them being like, this is the funny part I'm putting on. And they're like laughing so hard and creating this thing. And I'm like, that wasn't that funny. You guys are just creating all this artificial laughter so you can have a clip for the internet. And it's so fake.
This is our clip.
This could be our clip.
Can we just say Kardashians at the end of it?
Kardashians.
There we go. Now the clip's going to say Benji's thoughts on the Kardashians.
Yes.
Yeah, it is interesting. We're pandering to the medium.
Yes, exactly.
Right. But I guess we did that for all mediums because we're like, okay, if specials, what they're doing 60 minutes or 15, like we're always kind of like the format dictates how the content comes out.
The medium is the message.
The medium is the Marshall McLuhan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know shit. Moroccans, man.
We know stuff.
We're wise people.
Yeah. Where did you go to school in New York?
Marymount.
Okay.
Upper East Side.
And is that for theater or for?
It's a very theatery school, but I studied like media studies, which is why I know those types of things.
Yeah. I just remember that. Didn't Woody Allen bring him out in Annie Hall?
Yeah. Is it the message is the medium or the medium is the medium is the message, right? Something like that.
I think he probably gets confused. Yeah. Like tomato.
Like that, yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting because like I feel like these new kids when they're going to come out, they're not going to if you're funny, they're not going to go line up at the club to do the open mic. They're going to whip out their phone.
Yes.
So like
It's already changed.
I feel like, and now you go to the clubs and it's almost like a museum of stand-up.
Yes.
Which is very interesting.
Yeah.
And that's not like a diss. It's just like, it's like the best of like different eras. And it's drastically changed since COVID. Maybe it's just me feeling it, but I've just noticed a totally different outlook.
Because we got even more on our phones.
Yeah.
And people developed followings. So all of a sudden there's people before where it used to be like a comedy community. It's like someone steps out and they're already a bigger comic than you because of the growth they've had online over the COVID, you know?
Yeah. And I did come to terms with that basically last week where I'm like, I just need to start doing it as well.
Doing what you can.
Doing clipping clips. And like building the follow. Because like at the end of the day, we are in the business of building a following.
Yes, I agree. But I think the problem is if you let those things actually ruin what you're doing. So it's like you said, the medium has always dictated the message.
Yeah.
But what's more noble, a 15-second clip or I just worked on a 30-minute or 1 hour thing, you know what I mean? And this is what it is. Like, that's obviously, you know, way more of a contribution to put together an amazing hour of stand-up comedy than a 15-second clip. So I think it is good to do that.
Yeah.
I'm bitter because I haven't figured it out, I guess. But I have to. Like, I'm probably going to have to do a podcast soon. Like, I finally, like, in the last few months, like, I'm really like, you just don't have a choice.
What would it be on?
I don't think I would make it specific, I don't think.
Just like the Benji Aflalo show?
I think, because then, I think when you get too specific, then you shrink your net, right?
Yeah, I am actually transitioning this podcast.
It's transitioning? So this is, what are you going to change? You know, you can change it to ISB and just be like, yeah, we're ISB now.
Well, I did a poll. I was like, should I change it to just the latiftayour podcast?
And what did people say?
And it became back 50-50.
Oh,
so
really?
It gave me no additional insight, but I do feel it is slightly limiting, but also, I don't know. I was inspired by It's the Gary Shandling Show, so I did It's Show Business. But,
oh, okay. But you can just keep the name and don't...
Yeah, I just lop off this, keep the art.
No, I mean, like, you don't have to be a slave to the title of your podcast. It could just be what it's called, and you just let it be what it is.
Yeah, but it is for marketing and stuff like that. And I do find that the buddy podcasts build like a different kind of following that's more dedicated.
Oh, two guys?
Well, like two guys or just like they don't have guests is interesting podcast. Or just like Bill Burr solo. Right. It's like they're there for you. That's it.
Yeah, I think so too.
The variability of a guest podcast is unique, challenging.
I'm not that. Yeah.
Would you do guests?
I don't think I would.
Or guests once in a while?
I don't think I'm good at the talking and stuff. Or I think I strike out sometimes. Sometimes I'll be like, that was good. And the next time I'll be like, that was bad. And I have one redeeming moment.
Yeah.
So.
I've never actually canned an episode, so that's good.
Oh, really?
I've never like walked away and been, it's just unusable.
Okay.
Yeah. But you can make it happen.
We'll see where this goes.
We'll see if this is any good.
Yeah, I think I would just do it. I know some people do the thing where they like have like a sidekick that doesn't really talk that much.
Yeah. That's fun.
I feel like I could do something like that.
Like have a sidekick?
Yeah.
Or be the sidekick?
Have a sidekick.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
And would you do like current events? Like,
I think that's the idea. I think, you do a current events thing.
Yeah.
Because then it always kind of feels fresh, right?
Yeah, it's always fresh.
But then it's not bingeable. Like if you fall in love with someone's interviewing style, then you'll want to listen to all their podcasts because you just love their interviews.
Yeah. But I think being current has more initial value.
Yeah.
Like being evergreen is more, the top of being evergreen is a very produced podcast, like something that's like Dan Carlin or something. It's like, that's going to live forever and people can always listen to that. But like something like this podcast, it is somewhat evergreen. Like they can go back and like, oh, I love Chappelle Lacey and I can go listen to that episode.
Right.
But I don't know if that's that powerful in the long run. I think being current, like Andrew Schultz, like you're probably not binging his old episodes,
right?
But every time he's putting one out, it's like
you want to see
very clippable. If you're his fan, you want to see it, but also a lot of hot topics get discussed.
Why'd you choose? You chose LA after Vancouver to just like focus on comedy? Did you?
I was in music business, so that brought me to New York. So I lived in New York like 2003 to 6.
Okay.
And then that brought me to LA. And then after being in the music business, I transitioned to starting to do comedy.
Oh, that's so cool. What'd you do?
I did everything from engineering to mixing to writing.
Really?
To working on the business side. So
producing this podcast is like a joke to you.
Yeah, I mean, I know all the audio equipment. It's like 2 mics. Like I used to mix like 100 track songs.
No way.
Yeah.
Did you go to school for that?
No, I learned it on the job.
Oh, really? You were like an assistant at a studio or something?
Yeah, like a coffee guy, burn CD guy.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And then you like worked your way up.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. And then you're like, I'm done with this. I'm going to do comedy now.
Well, then I was working for a label that had, I don't know if you ever got to do the show, the one in the house, the Comedy Bunker in the house in Sherman Oaks. So they owned this house that was like their studio / office. And I was like, can we do a comedy show? They were like, what should we do with this house? It's fun. I was like, can we do a comedy show? And they're like, sure. And then I started putting it together. And then I always knew in the back of my mind I wanted to do it. Like I would be around the Comedy Cellar in New York a lot because I had friends who worked there. And people were like, you should do comedy. And I'm like, it didn't seem like a real thing. I didn't understand it. Like I was like, you know, I had no idea that people were doing written material. Like I just didn't.
Yeah,
it wasn't in my purview.
I was very naive. Yeah.
I was very naive about the whole thing. And it didn't seem like a real business. I didn't know that people could have a living doing it. And I was also so focused on music. But it always stuck with me. I had a little bucket list of things I want to do, and like try stand-up was one of them. And then I finally did it, and I was like, oh, I went to the Flappers blender mic. I was like, let me see if I can do it. And it went great. And I'm like, oh, I could do this. And then I started producing the show there. And then hosting it, and then getting spots, and now I'm all the way in. Yeah. So it's kind of like the long way.
Right.
But it is the same brain as writing music, because it's like you're editing, you're taking words out, you're constantly iterating.
Right.
It's a little more solitary. It's like...
Stand up?
Yeah, like the actual work part is so much more solitary, where the actual part in music is a bit more collaborative. I've never been a guy. I know people have asked me like, "Hey, let's get together and like write jokes." I'm like, it's not. It doesn't really work for me.
Did you play an instrument?
I played the viola in like elementary school.
All right.
But so I can read music, but mostly it's like kind of like directing.
Right.
What I did was like, play it again. It's like raising the bar. Do it one more time. Let's try it again. Like you're kind of like coaching people to do their best performance. So that was a lot of like the creative side I did. So I probably could have been a better musician if I tried, but I was kind of always more drawn to the technology. Like that's like a sampling keyboard, like the same one that actually like Timbaland did all his stuff on.
In high school, I didn't want to go to a real college. I wanted to go to like an audio school. And my parents were like, we're not paying for that.
That was a good decision.
And then they're like, go to regular college. And when you graduate, if you still want to do that, you can. And then I remember I did. And I was like, I would still want to do that. They're like, well, we're not paying for that. You're not going. So I never headed in that direction.
But like, so you were drawn to wanting to go to that like SAE or something?
Yeah. I visited their like London campus. And I thought it was so cool that they had all these campuses. So I was 17 with no guidance. My parents didn't go to college. So I was just like 17. And I was like, I want to go to Rockstar School in London.
Yeah.
You know, like
their
that's
ads
what
are very enticing.
Yeah. When you're 17, you're just like, what? Yeah.
Yeah. You learn actually more on the job.
Right.
And the job like opens up instantly to you.
Right.
If you just have the right attitude of being in the studio. And the schools are valuable, but it's expensive and you come out with debt and now
probably meet awful people.
Well, it's a lot of the same kind of people you meet.
Yeah.
You don't get the same kind of network you do out of a regular college, let's say.
Right.
But if you wanted to do it, I mean, you could still do it if you wanted.
Who do you think's smarter, musicians or stand-up comedians, based off your experience? Who's the smarter breed?
I mean, there's a wide berth of all of them.
Overall.
Yeah.
Overall, who's smarter?
Probably comedians.
Yep. We're smarter than them.
Yeah.
Or I guess you're both sides.
I am both sides.
You're bi.
I'm bi. But yeah, I mean, musicians are smart. It is like,
but
it's
stand-ups are smarter.
math.
And I love music. I'm just saying overall. I'm not saying there's not genius musicians.
But I do feel that like getting into stand-up was like where I found like the people I connect to the most. Because the part I actually loved about music was being in the studio like recording a band was the funnest time ever, and everyone's funny, and it's like such a like good energy, and everyone's making jokes because you're stuck together for like a year making this disc, which doesn't happen anymore. And the jokes was the best part. As I remember the jokes, the funny times, and then so being with comedians is kind of like being like with the musicians without doing the work,
Right?
without having to record, because it's tedious to make a record.
Oh yeah, I bet. I have
It
friends
is-
and I've tried to mess around with them. It's hard. I can play guitar and it's really hard to nail stuff.
It's like it's like a microscope in like the worst way.
Yeah.
Like something that can be beautiful live. You take that person into the studio and like they just don't have studio it.
Tell your musician friends that stand-ups are smarter and they get really upset.
Yeah.
It's really funny. Do it.
But do you think musicians are competitive about smarts?
No, I just think they all think they're super smart. And then a
Yeah.
lot of them are, but a lot of them are not.
Yeah,
So you got to just be like, yeah, just so you know, stand-ups are smarter. And then
Right.
just see how they react.
and be like, oh, I'll see you later.
They'll be like, what? No way.
Yeah,
That's how musicians talk.
it is totally just like the total pop star.
What?
But there used to be a lot of manufactured music, like that was kind of top down. That's gone away to the most part. Like there's way less like Katy Perry's and like pop stars than there were even 10 years ago.
Really? I feel like there's like 100 pop stars a day now. Like there's so many people I don't know. There's not a lot of pop stars.
Not like in the way that's taking over. Like can we name a new pop star?
There's that K-pop band everyone liked. Is Doja Cat pop?
Yeah. Okay. Doja Cat.
People like
She's a bit more authentic than a pop
but she's
star.
pop. Ariana
She is-
Grande. She's still popular.
But she's from 10 years ago.
She is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's new? Oh, there's that Hispanic girl everyone likes. Am I allowed to say Hispanic? Latina? I don't know.
The one from Bruno?
I don't know.
That movie, that animated movie. I have kids, so like we don't talk about Bruno. That song.
Oh, I thought you meant
Oh, Bruno,
like
the-
Sacha
the-
Baron Cohen thing.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah, that's a weird segue.
Yeah.
I've gotten him before.
What?
Like people say, some
you
people
look like
come up
Sacha
to me
Baron
and
Cohen.
said, I'm like, I feel like if you're just kind of dark features, like some people just can't tell you apart. Like I've gone off on stage after Asif, and people came up to me like I was Asif, and I think we look anything alike.
Right.
But it's just like a blend of
white people, man. If you ever go like deep south or like rural Texas parts, they just like kind of look at you like they're like, that ain't a Mexican. It's not a white person. They just like don't know what you are, and they're just like, huh.
Do you feel like as an other in these places?
If you go to super white places, I think they know I'm like different. Sure.
Yeah.
I kind of feel it. Yeah. Don't you think that?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
I think with the more beard I have.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Beards have really penetrated the culture, which is kind of nice too.
Yeah. I guess if I was super clean shaven with like a super clean cut look,
Yeah.
I guess I don't know. I'm also kind of small, so when I go to like rural America, I also just feel like everyone's like bigger than me. So that could be part of why I just feel different. I don't know if it's like
they are
strictly
bigger.
a ethnic look thing.
No. Yeah, I mean I feel like clean shaven in a suit, you could be selling
Full blown white.
full blown white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And do you feel Moroccan though?
Like in my vibe?
In your like do you like I'm Moroccan? Like, do you lead with Moroccan? I put actually yesterday. I was like, let me put Moroccan flag on my Instagram, and I did that.
My manager
And I'll
brings
probably-
it up
I'll
because
probably
he wants
take it
to
down.
he wants to pitch me as diverse. So he's always like, I'm telling people you're Moroccan, or he'll be like, I'm telling people you're North African. I'm like, all right, buddy, do what you got to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I grew up with some Moroccan, like we had some like Moroccan foods and stuff. I don't know if you find this, but like as a kid, like Middle Eastern food, I always felt weird, like hummus or stuff like that, because it wasn't popular yet.
Yeah.
And now all that stuff is like mainstream, and I'm like, this used to make me feel different as a kid.
Right.
Like hummus and harissa and like whatever Middle Eastern stuff is now common.
Yeah, it's
But
kind
as a kid, I was like, this is weird. We're weird.
Yeah, you can buy like Moroccan oil hair products in the
all that
store.
stuff. Yeah,
and you're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
it is weird. The food always gets incorporated first, so that's like everyone adopts the food, and they're like, all right.
Same thing. Couscous,
Oh, yeah.
No one. That's a new thing. That's not new to me.
I remember it was like There's some sort of ethnic.
Couscous new to you, bitches.
Yeah, that's the name of your podcast. I remember there was like an ethnic day at my elementary school or like something, and like my parents cooked couscous for like the class, and it was like a mind-blowing experience. Like it was like the first time that anyone's ever had it, and it was like such a big deal. And like, I felt weird about that.
Yeah, you get uncomfortable. But now looking back, you're like, I shared couscous with a whole class of people. It's not a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing at all. But like, yeah, you are. It is weird being different, but also the same because we're half, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like because I hang out with a lot of like real Moroccans too. Like, and I'm like, okay, that's not exactly where I am either, but I'm not with the full whites. Yeah. I'm kind of I'm with you and I against the world.
Yeah. No, I don't feel super Moroccan in my thing. I guess I don't feel Moroccan at all. I guess when I get angry and I yell, I'm like, oh, fuck, I am Moroccan.
Your hands start going up?
I think when I was young, I had like a little bit of a temper, and Moroccans have tempers.
Yeah.
But as an adult, I don't.
No, you seem very even and responsible.
But like sometimes if like a heckler bothers me, like I think people can sense like my Middle Eastern heat. Yeah. And I can lose an audience.
Do you speak Arabic?
My dad would like curse in Arabic and stuff growing up, but I don't know if he's like super, super fluent in it.
Yeah. Yeah. I never learned either.
But Moroccans know a lot of languages.
Yeah, but they know French, so I know French from that in Canada. Yeah. So that's kind of cool. It's kind of a useless language.
No, I don't think so.
But you can use it in France.
Yeah. And you can teach your kids French.
They're learning. Yeah, they're in a French school.
I went if you can go to Paris or St. Bart's or whatever and speak French with people. It's cool.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Any language is fun.
Yeah, I think it's good to know a second language. I think it's important.
I think Russian language would be less scary if it used the same alphabet. Like it looks so, like when you see those Cyrillic things, you're like, this is insane. There's like M's for K's and the letters are backwards.
Yeah, it wouldn't be my first language to learn.
Yeah. But it sounds cool when people, I mean, right now it's kind of a weird topic, but like I've always thought it sounded cool. Like,
oh, you did?
Yeah.
Not me.
No?
No. What's cool about it?
I don't know. It was just so I loved like spy movies and like James Bond and stuff.
You like the bad guys?
And so like it always just sounded so different, and so they had like a different philosophy.
I grew up like around a lot of Russians.
Okay.
My other side is Russian.
Oh, Russian. Okay.
Yeah. So and then my aunt married a Russian guy, so they're just always Russians, and my cousins grew up speaking Russian.
Yeah.
There were always Russians around drinking glasses of vodka, stuff like that.
And
like family parties,
little glasses of vodka, it'd be
like this, but maybe not that much, but like vodka, like just Russians drinking vodka straight.
So it's true.
What, that Russians drink vodka? Yeah, of course. Very much so. From what I've seen.
Have you gone to any of those Russian restaurants in West Hollywood?
Food, no, I'm not into Russian food.
What is Russian food?
I don't know, but I remember as a kid I went to a Russian bar mitzvah and I was like, nope, never again. So that's all I know of Russian food.
Can you just say nope? As a kid from bar mitzvahs?
It was like, what's the word? Gelatinous? It was like...
gelatinous.
There was a gelatinous thing, and I think as a kid, I was just like, no.
Yeah, I never liked Jell-O.
Yeah.
Gelatinous is a weird texture.
That's what I remember, and I know I could be totally wrong. I'm sure there's a lot of delicious Russian stuff, but I haven't revisited since that bar mitzvah.
What are your goals for this next coming year?
Probably getting married. So doing like...
Congrats.
Thank you.
Do you have a venue?
What's that?
Do you have a venue?
We're looking into it.
All right. So not getting married.
No, we are. We have like a date. We just haven't fully locked it down.
Yeah.
We have a thing.
Cool.
And then, I'd like to, once we're done with the marriage, I think that's when I'm going to put the pressure on myself to probably have to start a podcast. But I just think the way I see it is... I think I might need to like have like a little bit of a budget of help if I want to make it a little more produced.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to like put the marriage behind me and let all that be wrapped up and then get something going that would be a little more produced.
Do you mean produced in terms of like the editing or the subject, like the preparation?
Yeah, like editing. I'm going to need I'm going to need people to make posts for it. Yeah, just like all that stuff. And then if it is going to be topical current event stuff, maybe there's going to have to be graphic work, which I'm not good at. Like, I think I could like do my best to be funny and write jokes, but in terms of like visual aesthetic stuff, like I would probably just need someone to help me with that.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I do everything, and it gets a little overwhelming.
Yeah, I don't have any skills, so I feel like I have to. Like,
I could teach you everything in like a half day.
I'm so lazy. I'm a lazy piece of shit. I'd rather just like find a couple people I can rely on to help.
Yeah, that's actually the smarter way.
Yeah.
Because I tend to be like, I can do it, and then you gotta get, Ari Manis, obviously.
Yeah.
So him and I talked about this. We have the same mentality. It's like I can learn the gear, and then you get into then you're the gear guy, and then now you're doing this, and then you're so excited about that you're just doing too much, and then you start to not trust people to do the job, and it becomes like a bad cycle. So
yeah, I totally agree. The
what you're
cart
doing
is useful because it's empty.
I like that.
Yeah, if you're doing too much, you're not going to be able. And I also think if I'm like paying 2 people to help me, like as lazy as I am, I'll be like, dude, you're fucking paying to put on a podcast tomorrow. Like, be fucking prepared.
Yeah,
have
be
some
ready.
Jokes. Figure it out. Don't be a D-bag.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping it puts a little fire under my ass. But again,
it will, because you also have to like, now it has to monetize. You have to have a plan to do that, to get ads, to do all those things.
Yeah, it does.
So it becomes a real business.
Yeah. And you're right. Like at the end of the day, no one can do everything on their own, or maybe they can, but chances are the person who's better at working with others is going to have a better thing. If you're good at that. Delegating work, picking the right people, explaining what it is you want, understanding, Yeah,
you go from doing the work to managing the people properly who are doing the work, which is also another skill to learn.
Which is important.
Yeah, like you said, picking the person, communicating your ideas.
Yeah, some of the funniest people we know are actually just amazing at hiring writers and knowing, like, if you're someone hosting they don't have it anymore. Let's say hypothetically someone still hosted the Oscars, right?
Yeah.
They got to put a monologue together.
Or real time.
Yeah, whatever it is. They're getting 1,000 jokes. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, the talented person isn't writing any of the jokes, but he's talented, or she is talented at picking which ones are going to do,
Yeah, it's kind of
and
like
understanding your voice and all that.
Yeah, same thing as like if you're a musician and people are pitching songs to you. You kind of have the talent to be like, hey, you have an ear for what's going to work.
Yeah.
And I think people don't respect that enough, because
it's important.
What are you, if you're just a one person show writing and performing, you're saying, I have the ear and I'm non-biased enough with my own stuff,
Right.
which is pretty rare.
Yeah.
To be able to be like, have you ever thrown out like a bit that's pretty good? It's hard.
Right.
If it gets like a B laugh, you're like,
I
just
don't
gotta
give up on that. I keep going. I don't let it go until it's better.
Until it's A? You never toss it?
Not right now. I'm not in the best place comedically. I feel like I've been funnier. But pre-COVID, like, I would say like a couple of my best jokes I had been working on for a while and they weren't that good. And then one day I figured something out and it would really like really good.
I had a couple of those recently that I didn't give up on, but I have admittedly given up on stuff. I'm like, this is just not, or more often than it's not working. It's like, it starts veering into a place where like, it's not me anymore.
That's fair.
And I'm like, I just can't, I don't feel like this is reflective of who I am.
Right.
It's not authentic to me anymore.
Right.
Wherever, what made it become funny was like a tag or a line I said. Now the jokes become a little not me. And I'm like, I got to get rid of it.
Yeah, I don't think I'm right to do it the way I do it. It's just what's happening to me.
I don't think there is a right way, which is the beautiful. If there was one right way, every agent manager would be like, go do this and you're a stand-up, which they already kind of do. But like, we would buy the book and be able to do it.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I love that Comedians in Cars and Coffee with the one with, who's that host from Chicago? My brain is drawing a blank. But anyway, Jerry says like, if you're taking a stand-up class, like you're already kind of like not, he like gives a speech and he's like, if you're here, you're already not going to make it. And like 2 people got up from the class and left.
Oh, really?
And I just thought that was interesting. And we all know stand-ups who have taken the class and are great, but like it is kind of like a self-made thing that you just kind of have to do on your own and figure out.
Yeah.
Well, this has been great, dude. I really appreciate you driving to the Valley.
Oh, yeah.
To be part of the pod.
I love it here. Studio City's great.
Yeah.
You're in a good part of town.
Yeah. I do miss West Hollywood sometimes.
No, you made the right move. You have everything you need here. You can walk to places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's close. Yeah. I like the walking vibe.
Yeah.
And you'll be on the Comedy Bunker coming up on April 4th, which is super exciting. Right? At Kibitz. That'll be fun. And we got some more shows in the works. So
I'm going to invite an old school manager.
On the 4th?
I have a manager. He's not my manager. But
Barry Katz?
No. There was like a guy. It was really funny. Like it was my grandfather's 91st birthday. And there was a guy there. And he was like, I used to rep these comedians and blah, blah. Like had all these stories of like 80s and 90s comedians. In my head, I'm like, and then he brought up Pauly Shore. And I was like, I know Pauly Shore.
Yeah.
And so I was like,
obviously.
I'm sending him a picture of us. Because in my head, part of me is like, I don't know who this guy is.
Yeah.
But then Pauly was like, oh, that's my old buddy. So I was like, oh, okay. All his tall tales of 90s comedy are true. So I'll invite him.
What was 90s comedy?
I don't know. Paul Reiser, Paul Rodriguez.
I guess Seinfeld.
Seinfeld, yeah. Who else was big in the 90s?
I guess Chappelle was late 90s. Like 98 was like...
probably early Chris Rock, right? 90s?
Yeah. Early, Bigger and Blacker was 99.
Yeah. But he had stuff before that.
Yeah, before was his biggest one was right before that, like in 95.
Bernie Mac.
Comic View was big.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 90s comedy. Let's bring it back.
Yeah. Dr. Katz. You ever watch Dr. Katz on Comedy Central? No?
Dr. Katz?
Yeah.
No.
So, because you're Canadian. I wonder if you didn't even get it or
We didn't get Comedy Central.
Okay, so Dr. Katz was a cartoon about a therapist, and all his patients are stand-up comedians. So it was all these 90s comics, and they would just do their act, and it was like, and then so there would be like a very basic story to the show, but then half of it was him talking to stand-up comedians who were doing therapy, but really just doing their material.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, that's the one weird thing about...
Attell. 90s.
Oh, David Attell. Oh, yeah.
Kind of like the biggest 90s comic, right?
Can't believe I missed that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's the weird thing about growing up in Canada is you get like little tastes of American culture, but then there's certain little gaps you miss.
Right.
And certain little things you bring up that like just don't exist.
Who were the big 90s Canadian comics?
Not in terms of comedy, just in terms of popular culture.
Right. But who were the big ones?
Russell Peters. I don't know.
That's not 90s though, is it?
Actually, no, it's like 2006.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was I was too young to be into comedy. I mean,
Jeremy Hotz, right? Isn't he Canadian? He was kind of big back then. No? He performs at the Laugh Factory a lot, or he used to. I see his name.
When I was a kid, the only comedy I knew was like Simpsons, like Seinfeld, like just stuff on TV.
Was Norm Macdonald Canadian?
Norm Macdonald's Canadian, yeah.
He's there's a Canadian. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, and comedic actors, like everyone knows.
There's a lot. Mike Myers,
Dan Aykroyd,
all the kids in the hall.
The other guy who died. Who was the heavier guy who died?
John Candy.
Right. Yeah, and then Kids in the Hall.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, that was a trip. Like when I met a few of the guys from Kids in the Hall just at the Improv over the years, that was a trip.
Really?
Because like that was
huge there.
So huge. Like that show was it was like our Saturday Night Live huge. Like the biggest thing on TV.
Right. Just dressing up like ladies.
Dressing up like lady. It never goes out. It never gets old.
It did. You can't do that anymore.
Every superstar is dressed up like a lady one time.
Yeah. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Benji, tell us where to follow you. Tell them your socials.
At Benji Aflalo on Instagram and Twitter. But social media is bad for you.
It is bad for you, but it's bad for you, but great for us. So follow us, and thanks for coming to the Valley.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Later.
Yeah.